Hello, my name is Suzanne Johnson. I'm a therapist and social worker in Clinton Township, Michigan. However, this session is separate from my practice. This is actually the very first of a series of interviews I like to do with different people that I've met that I hope will inspire and give more hope to other people. This is my colleague, Alice Williams. I actually met her about 18 years ago where I used to work at a community mental health center. And I just noticed that she was different than other people. She was another social worker there. She was bright and just so positive. And we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. How you doing, Alice?
I'm doing great. Now it says.
So Alice, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
And
That's my home.
And one of our many talks, you told me that you think part of your being a social worker and a helper might be related to your grandfather.
That's true.
That he helped a lot of people. Can you tell people about that?
He was a pillar of the community. Both my father and my grandfather was a pillar of community. However, they were very separate.
Okay.
They had very separate skills. My grandfather was very religious. He loved the Lord. He took us to church. He's the one that took us to church. He's the one that read the Bible to us. He's the one that taught us moral character. My dad, he was a pillar of community, but what he did was be in the garage drinking with the neighbors.
Okay.
All the men together with my father in the garage every night. Because they weren't looking at television or anything like that. So they would gather and tell their old stories.
Now, who was it? Your grandfather that people would come to for counseling and wait in line in the living room, something like that?
Wow, you have a good memory.
Well, some things stick. Usually, I don't have a good memory.
Our living room, we would have 3 or 4 people waiting in line
to talk to your grandfather, to get
talk to
help.
My grandfather. And what he would do is take them into his bedroom.
Yeah, well, he's a therapist before his time.
I can see it in my mind's eye. They'd be sitting there, Brother Braxton, they call him. And they wait their turn just as patient. They'd be talking to each other, and one of the people men and women, they'd go into his bedroom and he would tell whatever they would ask him, he would respond. And then the next person would come in.
I never heard of anything like this before.
Huh?
I said, I haven't heard of anything like this before. It's just like this informal.
Yeah, that's how it was. For years and years. But isn't that something like Daddy, my father, we call him Daddy, he did the same thing, but different.
Totally different style.
Yeah, they would come to him, but they would come to him for the worldly stuff.
Okay.
And the people would come to my granddad for spiritual counseling.
Well, they got the bases covered, don't they?
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And they both, I don't know if I should, well, I guess it's okay, but they both made spirits.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? My grandfather, he made wine. Grape wine, peach.
Well, people are doing that again these days. They call it fermenting.
My grandfather, that's my grandfather and grandmother. That's how they made their money, was making wine. My dad, he made whiskey.
Hey.
He made whiskey and homebrew, which is beer.
I see, good.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so I can see where they influenced you, and now, how old were you when you became a social worker?
Ooh,
about?
I think 43.
Yeah, and then how many years did you work in the field? About 22 years or?
30.
30 years. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a little list of questions for you.
Okay.
Now, I know your father and your grandfather were influence for you. Is there anyone else that you felt had a strong influence on who you became and a mentor or anything like that?
Well, my spiritual parents, Reverend and Sister Johnson, they had a little church, and as I have told you before, my mother died with my birth. Not as I was being birthed, but 3 days after my birth, she died.
Right.
And so Mother's Days, I could not stand Mother's Day. When Mother's Day come around every year, I would just be so depressed as a child.
Yeah, of course. That would be very
And so
sad day.
I would be walking the street, going up to Gratiot, going to the store probably for daddy or for papa. And this lady would be sitting outside, sweeping the sidewalk in front of this little church, storefront church.
Yeah.
And tears would just be coming down my face. And she would
Oh.
say, little girl, why are you crying? You're too pretty to be crying. And I would say, I don't have a mama. And so she said, I'll be your mama. I'll be your mama. Where do you live? And blah, blah, blah. And it bloomed
Wow,
from
what
that.
a big heart that woman has.
Oh, they were so loving. Until they died, they stayed, always prayed for me and always counseled me. They're the ones that kept me married. When I would think about leaving, they said, no, 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 no. They would tell me, you make something special for your husband for his birthday. They were just wonderful people, just wonderful people.
Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of people we need in the world, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, Suzanne, I do the same thing now. And that's how I was influenced to do that. Papa was the same way, and Sister Johnson and Reverend Johnson. And it just stuck with me. And that's what I do.
I remember exactly almost to the day. Well, probably to the day. I was visiting you 11 years ago.
Oh, man.
And we went for a 10-mile walk, which you did every day at that time. And you would just greet almost everybody that we'd wave to people and say hi to people. And
Oh,
yeah.
It's just wonderful.
It's a wonderful way to be.
Yeah. But if you want to stick to your questions.
No, if you have anything that you want to, I got questions, but please, you said you have a lot to share. Just you can just tell me what's on your mind too.
Now look, if this was this time yesterday, if this conversation was going on this time yesterday, I would have been in the hospital.
Oh, well, what was happening? We talked 2 days ago. You were fine.
I know. Suzanne, I was in the yard in my little court out here, relaxing, leaning back, laying back on the chair on the lounge, reading a book. And all of a sudden I had an A-field. You know A-field?
I've heard of it, but it's your heart.
Yeah, your heart is going crazy. Your heart is irregular beating, palpitation, rapid, and the electrons is going all through your body.
What did you do?
So I've had this ever since when my children was little. I would be bathing them and I would get like this.
Yeah.
And at that time, they didn't say it was fibrillation. They said I was having a panic attack. So for many years, I thought that's what it was, a panic attack.
Yeah, similar symptoms.
Yeah. So anyway, yesterday I said, because it usually lasts about an hour. If I would lay down and relax, then it would go away. Well, yesterday it didn't go away. Oh, I was some sick cookie. Oh, my heart was restraining. Oh, it was like a big knot. And it was in my back, it was in my chest, it was in my arm, my left arm. Oh, it was hurting so bad.
What, weren't you totally frightened?
I pulled myself enough to come into the house and I laid on the sofa here and waiting for it to subside, because that's the pattern. It usually subsides,
Yeah.
So it didn't. And so I guess I was in severe pain. Yesterday, I was in severe pain. And so I said, no, I think I better call my doctor. So I drove myself over here to the phone and I called my primary care doctor. And he asked me what's going on. I told him. He said, well, can you get here to the clinic? And I said, yes, I can. Now, he thought that I was going to get somebody to take me, but I drove there with all that pain going through my body.
You are so strong-willed.
I drove to the clinic. And right away, they knew something wasn't right with me. And they took me right on in. And they gave me the cardiogram,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They had it all over my upper extremities.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. I was in severe pain, severe pain.
Oh,
So
no.
they gave me what's that little pill that put up on your tongue?
I forget. Nitrogen
Yeah.
or something?
Nitrogen. They gave me the little pill to put up on my tongue, and they gave me a baby aspirin, and I took that. And then every now and then they would come back into the room and say, "How you feel now?" From 1 to 10, how do you feel? And I say about
Right.
a 9. And then they come back again. How you feel now? I say, oh, maybe about a 6 or a 7.
Right.
And then they kept doing that. And so then he come, oh, they done put the cardiogram on me, and they done took my blood. They took so much blood from me yesterday, girl, I thought I wouldn't have no more blood. So then I look right, the doctor comes back in the room and he says, Miss Williams, I already called the EMS. I said, oh no, I said, this is gonna subside and I'll be able to go back home. He said, no, you're having a heart attack. This is not AFib, this is a heart attack. I said, I don't believe it's a heart attack. This is AFib. So I said, well, okay, I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. So all these here EMS all around me. Now they done give me another cardiogram and they done took some more blood. I said, oh my God, I'm not going to blood. So then they say, we're going to take you to the hospital. I said, okay. So they takes me to the hospital, Suzanne, and they give me another.
You gotta be a good sport.
So when they got me there to the hospital and they gave me another cardiogram, another 4 tubes of blood out of me, they said, how do you feel? I said, I feel wonderful. I feel like I can jump off this bed and go home. They said, please don't do that. I said, well, I feel good. I said, this is the natural process. This is how it always
This is the
happens.
pattern. You've been through it many a time.
I said, we just didn't wait long enough. That's all.
Right.
We just didn't wait long enough. I said, I feel great. So anyway, they said, please stay. I said, okay. So they put me in the room. Suzanne, they left me in that room. I had to urinate so bad, I didn't know what to do. I was pressing the button, pressing the thing for the nurses to come and help me. And they didn't come. I stayed like that for 2 hours. I stayed at that hospital from 3 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. Did you hear me?
A long time.
And all they was doing every now and then coming there saying, how do you feel? I said, I feel great. I'm ready to get out of here and go home.
I know, but you're getting hungry by then.
So then they said, no. Said, you need to stay, at least spend the night so we can do a stress test. I said, well, I know what that consists of. It's just walking. And I said, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I said, would you please take this stuff out of my arm? Right. Please unhook me to your machines so I can get out of here and go home. I said, and I will have the stress test because I'm going to walk all the way home. I walked 7 miles from that hospital home. I got home, changed my clothes, readied myself for bed, got in the bed, went to sleep, slept all night long, Suzanne, and got up this morning.
I guess after 7 miles of walking and being in the hospital for hours, you were worn out.
Now you see where my faith is at.
Yeah. Yes.
You see where my faith is at.
Yeah.
I just kept on going. And I didn't feel no pain. I felt no uncomfortable, nothing. My determination was to get home.
You just knew you were fine.
It was time to get home. Isn't that something?
That is something. And
you know what I contribute that to again is Papa. You asked me about my Papa.
Tell me the connection.
The connection is when Papa was in Mississippi. That was before I was born. This was in 1936 in Mississippi, Mount Bow, Mississippi. He had a tumor in his brain.
Oh.
Think about this. This is 1936. Mississippi, you wasn't getting too much medical care from no hospital and nobody else.
No, what happened?
Daddy got him, took Papa brought him to Memphis, Tennessee, and took him to Mount Gaston Hospital. And they operated on him. Listen, they took a chisel. Do you hear me? They took a chisel, and chisel, listen, chisel a hole between his eye, the right eye, and across the upper part of his nose.
Oh,
and took that tumor out of his head.
oh my gosh.
And listen.
And he survived it.
Listen, he lived, my grandpapa, Carter Braxton, he lived, he made up in his mind that he was going to live to see all of my mother's children grown. And he did just that. He lived to see all of us grown, and he lived to see all of us have all our children.
It's the power of intention.
Amen.
And connecting with higher power.
Our power. That's what he believed. He accepted what he believed, and he dedicated himself and committed himself to that.
Oh,
and I'm the same way.
Yes, yes. Well, I remember when I visited you, it's just one story after another. I thought, I wish I had the tape recorder out here. This woman has had so many experiences with prayer and, high risk situations, and then that turned out fine.
Yep. So ask another now. You can ask.
Oh, how do you start your day? They say it's important how you start your day.
Oh, Suzanne, my day is started before I get up out the bed.
Yes.
When my eyes open, usually, I think it's before my eyes open because I can hear the birds tweeting outside my window. But then when my eyes are open, I lay there and I meditate and I thank God for my life, for service, for my family. I go down the list for anybody who has asked me to pray for them, for my family. I call them all by names. I call people by names.
Oh, that's the best.
And then I hit the floor.
Yeah.
Then I hit the floor. I go in the kitchen and make my health juices that I make from scratch.
See, that was one of my questions. I remember when you were working where I did, there was something wrong with your foot. And the Spirit told you a certain recipe to make with garlic, I think, and ginger and apple and onion.
All of that.
Well, I wrote it down for a while. I was giving it away for people who had problems with inflammation. I said, try this. This worked for my friend Alice. When I looked it up, all the ingredients were anti-inflammation.
Amen. Amen. But anyway, I go in, I make collard greens, and then I put mixed avocado.
Yep, that's a super nutrient food.
Yeah, and bananas. Ooh. I mix all that in my bullet, and so make it a juice.
Yeah,
make a juice out of that. And then so I have a glass, about a 6-ounce glass of that, and then I make me beets, and I grind them up in the bullet, the beets, and then I have beets.
Raw beets or cooked?
Raw beets.
Okay.
Raw, everything raw. And
live
then
food.
Pardon me?
The food is more alive when it's raw.
Yes. So then I have the same, a 6-ounce glass of that. And then I have ginger and lemon, ginger root and lemon. And I make a juice out of that, ginger root and lemon.
Very good. Yes. Antioxidant.
I have a glass of that. And then with my collard greens, I put
turmeric, yeah. So did you just come up with this on your own, or did you read this somewhere, or how?
No, you know what? I'm spiritually led.
That's what I thought.
My mind. I probably have seen it somewhere, but where I don't know. But it comes to me.
When you were working with me, you said it was spirit. The recipe you told me was like 6. You said it was the Spirit told you. And then you put it, I think you had a bunion on your foot and you put it on there and you drank that. And after a while, no problem left.
It wasn't a bunion. It was,
Oh.
I can't stand for my feet to get hot.
Okay, so my memory does have, okay, whatever. I just know that
Yeah.
the condition got better.
My feet get hot. If my feet get hot, I break out in blisters.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
And
I
so
remember picturing something like that.
Yeah, that was the salve that I would make and put on my feet.
All right.
I have all kind of remedies. Vinegar. I have never put, well, I can't say ever, but since I've been an adult, soap on my face. I use vinegar and honey.
Oh,
So I take vinegar, that's my exposure, what you call it. And so I take the vinegar and honey, I keep that in the refrigerator. And then I keep a little bottle in the bathroom, put a little bit on my face rag and wash my face.
oh, so natural.
Yeah, it's all natural.
Yeah, vinegar has so many good uses, but I had never heard
So
it for that.
for your stomach, everything. Yep. Mhm.
So then after you drink your juices, is there something you do after that usually?
I read my scriptures. I have a prayer book that my grandfather gave me a prayer book. Listen at this. My grandfather gave me daily word prayer book when I was 12 years old. The prayer book he bought when I was born. Do you hear me? When I was born.
Yeah. And that's what you read in the morning?
I read it in the morning. Well, I memorized those because I had it ever since I was 12.
Oh, it's
So
a particular prayer. Those are particular prayers.
Yeah, I just memorized. And
can you say a little bit by memory right now?
The thing about it, Suzanne, he bought that when I was born, 1941.
Amazing.
Then he gave it to me when I was 12.
It was meant for you.
He did that for me.
Yeah, you're so connected with him.
So
I
that's
love
the first
it.
thing I do. I read my daily word. I read my daily word first.
Yes.
And then I read my scriptures. My scriptures always start with Proverbs. So I read whatever day it is. The day is the 18th, I read Proverbs 18. Tomorrow 19th, I read Proverbs 19.
Okay.
And then I will start, when I start with the Proverbs, I will start with Genesis and come on up to Proverbs. Then when I get to Proverbs, I go to the next chapters. Not Ecclesiastics, and read all the way to Revelations. And then I do that over. I've been doing this ever since I was 12 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's consistency. And do you mind if I mention?
I've been doing this ever since I was 12 years old.
Do you mind if I mention how young you are?
I'm 80 and I'll be 81 next month.
Very good.
March the 4th.
So that's quite a few years, 68 years doing that, almost 69.
I started doing that when I was 12 years old.
Well, what a great way to start your day.
That starts my day. And then once I read my scriptures and everything, then I go for my walk. Well, you remember that.
Okay, next question. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, can you tell me any of the stories? You were in Africa, right, with the Peace Corps?
Oh, yes.
Well, what comes to your mind about being there?
Oh, well, there's so much.
You don't have to tell them all today. We can maybe do this again sometime.
Oh, it's so many. Well, it's so many. Well, okay, I'll tell this one. I was living with a young lady. And well, the way I started living with her, well, what the Peace Corps will do is they'll find you a place to live. So they have to go get with the villagers. And then they'll get with the villagers, and the villagers will find a place for all the workers to live. So they had found me a place. I was working with the schools. And so if you work, whoever you're working with, you're supposed to be living as they live. That is the same type of housing, type of housing they have. That's what you're supposed to have.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm working with the school teachers. And so the school teacher took me to this house. I wasn't looking down on the people because that's how they live. But they had prepared a special room for me. But the special room wouldn't be anything you would call special. It was horrible.
Not to our United States standards.
Not to our standards, not at all.
Do you remember what approximately?
Not even to homeless people standards.
Do you
And
remember approximately what year this was?
yeah, this was 98.
And we're in Africa. It's a big continent.
Well, I'm South Africa.
South Africa. Okay.
Listen at me. Mpumalanga.
Oh, well, I asked. Okay. Okay, so you had your special room.
And that's about 40 minutes from Pretoria.
Tell us a little bit about the room.
Pretoria is about
okay,
hour and a half from Johannesburg.
Oh, I
give you an idea.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm out in the bush. I wasn't in the city part. Pretoria and Johannesburg are cities. They look just like they look just like America.
Describe the room for us so we can picture it.
Lord. So here's the room. They done made it like you would make a shed in your backyard. And it had no glass window. It had a piece of tin propped up with a stick. You could let it up and down. A piece of tin. You could let it up and down. That's the window.
Did you want to go home at that point?
Pardon me?
Did you want to go home at that point?
No, I had just got there.
All right. You're more adventuresome than I.
Oh, we had just got off the bus.
Right.
We were just, yeah. And so the floor was about, I would say, 6 inches off the floor. 6 inches off the floor, the door. They had made a makeshift bed, something you done hammered together, some sticks, some boards that you done hammered together, and had a sponge mattress, that was infested with pee.
Oh no!
It had one light bulb hanging down, and it was extended to the people's home.
Oh my goodness!
And I laid there, Suzanne, all night looking up at that light bulb. And I talked to the Lord, and I said, I've been to East Africa, Kenya, and I slept on the ground. And I said, Lord, I didn't mind it because the people that I was serving, that's how they slept.
Oh.
I said, and the missionaries, that's how they slept. I said, so I didn't mind.
Okay.
I said, but Lord, these people have nice homes. They have homes like we have in America, these school teachers and doctors and nurses, because I worked with all of them.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I said, why would I said, Lord, how can I help someone else if I can't help myself? Right. I don't intend to live like this. I said, I don't intend to live like this. I laid there all night looking up at that light bulb. I said, I can't do it. I said, we're supposed to live just like the ones that we're serving live. I can't do this. I got up that next morning. I walked all the way to the schoolhouse. And the school teacher, she met me and she said, well, Alice, how did everything go last night? I said, horrible. I say, and when admission is over with, I would like to talk with you, speak with you. So she said, okay. So once we did the opening for the kids, they have prayer every morning. Once the prayer was over with, I went to her and we had a conversation, and I told her, I said, I'm very disappointed in you. I said, I come all the way over here to give myself to others. And I said, you have a brand new home, I understand. And you take me to a home like this? I said, that's unheard of. And it's not acceptable. Right. I said, that's not acceptable. I said, now I'm going to call the Peace Corps and let them know. She said, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. We want you. Oh, we want you. She said, don't worry about it. I will find you somewhere to live. I will find you somewhere. Don't worry about it, Alice. Don't worry about it. I said, okay. Okay. So when school was out, she had, like I tell you, some of them people have nice homes, So this particular girl, she had a nice home. her husband had been killed, and she had gotten the insurance, and she had a home built, and it was very nice. So she called this girl and asked her for me to live there. Could I live there until my time was up, which would have been 2.5 years. So the girl says yes. The girl didn't want me. She was doing it because this was her boss. This was the principal of the school.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
her
she
boss.
was, yeah,
So she didn't want me there, but she did it just because the principal asked her to.
right,
So
right.
anyway, I ends up living with her. I guess I stayed with her about maybe 3 months. And so I used to buy all their food for them with my money. She had 3 children. No, she had 2 children, two daughters. I would buy their food. And sometimes I would buy different food for myself, like yogurt. At the time, I used to like yogurt. And
Yeah.
something that would reminded me of home, I would buy.
Right.
And then I would buy them things, and I would put it over to the side. So this particular day, I had come from the grocery store, which is a long way. You have to walk all these long roads and then catch a bus and then go far away.
So how long did it
to
take to get to the
market.
grocery store?
Yeah,
How long did it take to get there?
that's what I'm saying now. It's a long. First, you got to walk the long
Like
road.
an hour, half hour?
Then you got to get a bus that's packed like sardines, and then you get to the little town, like village. You get to the village, then you can buy your groceries and stuff there, and then come back. So it would take about to get there about an hour.
Okay, yeah.
About an hour. Where was I at?
Well,
so okay, I
you
was
bought yogurt for you,
coming
and
down.
you
I was
bought
coming down the road to the girl's house, and I was so tired. I got there, and I sat down. She was sitting in the yard. She had a nice home, sitting in the yard. And so I rested for a while, and then she was looking at me the whole time. And then she says, "Alice," I said, "Yes." She says, "I have a problem with you." I said, "You have a problem with me? What is the problem?" And she says, "You makes a difference with my children, and I don't like that."
Oh,
I said, "What difference am I making with your children?"
that would
She
hurt
says,
her.
you asked me to put, if you could put a label on your food. Well, I don't raise my children like that. We all eat the same thing. I said, no, you don't. I said, the first time I walked into your home and went into your kitchen, you had a lock on the refrigerator. You didn't even allow your children to go into your refrigerator without your permission. You had a lock on it. I said, now, since I've been here, you took the lock off. And you mean to tell me that because I asked for a label for my personal things that I want to eat, you have a problem with that? She said, yes, and you're going to have to leave my home.
Oh, she's just looking for an excuse.
I said, okay, I will. I said, as soon as I can, I'll be at your home.
Right.
And so I did. I got up that next morning, and when I got up that morning and opened my bedroom door, there was a witch doctor sitting in the middle of the hallway. A witch doctor, looking just as crazy as anything you want to see. So I looked at him. She was standing there too. I looked at her and I looked at the witch doctor, and I shook my head. I said, if you had any powers, you wouldn't be in the shape that you're in. Use that power to better your condition. And I walked right around them and went on out the door. And I started walking the road. And I came upon a lady that owned, she owned little huts. The school teachers would teach and go home at month's end. At the end of the month, they would go home to their families.
Oh, they live far from the family.
Yeah, they would work all week, then all month, and then at the end of the month, they could go home to visit their families. And so she had these huts for them to live in during the week.
Yeah.
And so I told her my story as best I could. I could talk the languages, but not fluently.
Sure.
So I did it the best I could and let her know that I needed a place to live. So she told me that I could rent a place from her. And so I said, okay, so where is it? And blah, blah, blah. So it's a long story. So anyway, I was there trying to tidy up the place, and do the best I can to make it livable. And one of my teams that I was working with, I worked with the establishing a police department. I worked with the health and AIDS program, and I worked with the schools. And so this young man, he was working with the police department. So that's where I knew him from. And so he came back. He had went over to Opala. That was the girl's name. I just came to me. And to see me, and I wasn't there. And she told him that I had left. She didn't say she put me out.
Oh, big difference.
Him that I had left. So he came looking. She didn't know where I was. So he came looking for me, and he found me. And so he says, "What's going on?" And I told him, I said, "She put me out. She told me I had to leave." And so he said, "Well, Alice," he said, "you have a meeting with the council today." And that's the chief of the village.
Yes.
And all the higher ups in the village. So you promised to have a meeting with us today. That's for the police department. And so I said, I can't do it. I said, I got to go to Pretoria, and I don't see how I can do it. I got to find me a place to live. And so he said, "Oh, please come, please come." So I said, "Oh, okay then." So I went on. And so after the meeting was over, I'm in a hurry to get back so I can finish what I'm doing, because that very same day I had to go to Pretoria, which is, I told you that was about an hour or so away. So he comes up while I'm in there cleaning the place up. He comes back to me. He says, "Alice, do you know I found you a place?" I said, "What?" He said,
"Just like that."
He said, "I found you a place." He said, this guy named is Jacob. He said, "You were sitting right next to him." I said, "Yeah, I remember Jacob." He says, "Jacob has 3 homes."
Whoa, it's a good thing you agreed to do that meeting.
And he said, "One of them, nobody is living in. His wife died. And since her death, nobody has lived in the home. And they want you to have it because we appreciate you." Remember, when I went into this village, there was death. Children was hanging themselves because they was sexually abused by school teachers. Everybody who had AIDS, they abused children because they feel like that they would not get AIDS. AIDS would be cured if they have sex with children. So the children, when you get up in the morning, you may see your son or your daughter hanging from a loft.
Oh, that's horrible.
It was horrible. So I was working between the families to bridge that gap between the families and the school system.
What an important job.
Yes. So
you were providing education so they would know not to hang themselves, or you would help educate about AIDS so that they weren't.
Yes, I worked with the AIDS departments. Then I would talk to them. I would talk with the families. I would make programs up and have them come to the school for the programs and have little educational sessions. We would do role play. I just whatever come to my mind to do.
So did that decrease the hanging?
It did. It did.
Oh.
It did. But you know what? They said after I left, they went right back to the same thing.
Oh no.
Yep, that's what they told me. Same thing.
Whoa. How long did you end up being there? The full 2.5 years or less than that? Or
excuse me?
How long did you end up staying then?
2.5 years.
You did the whole 2.5 years.
I did the whole 2.5.
Well, in a way, you saved lives then, didn't you?
Oh, it was wonderful, Suzanne. I never would experience a experience like that. It was just.
I never heard of anything like that.
It'll make you will know who you are.
Yeah, I'm glad you stuck with it.
Oh, I stuck with it.
Well,
I never wanted to come home.
A very high level purpose.
Some of the people stayed. I mean, actually stayed.
Oh, after the 2.5 years, they stayed.
Yeah. Although I had one friend I was close to, he and his wife, and he wanted to go, but she didn't go. But he wanted to go back. And he died. He died while he was over there. You have to.
He got AIDS.
The 6 months is 2 years, and 6 months. The 6 months is to learn the culture.
Oh, sure.
And so you be with a host family for that 6 months. You're with the host family, and they teach you their custom. They teach you the language. They teach you how they live. They teach you how they eat. They teach you everything. They teach you everything they can think of to teach you. They teach you during that 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's how it's 2 years, 6 months.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that story is mind-blowing.
Oh, it was wonderful. And you remember when I went back about 10 years ago?
To visit? Yeah, you were going to
visit. I
visit.
went back to visit?
I know you mentioned it. I don't know if we talked about it much.
I went back to visit. I was amazed. Suzanne, I would just be walking those long roads and people would come running, Miss Alice, oh, Miss Alice.
Now, how long a time was it?
I said, how do they know me? all that time had passed.
How many years happened between when you went for the two with Peace Corps and when you went back to visit? How many years in between?
Well, I went to the Peace Corps in 98.
Okay, yeah, 98. So 10 years ago would be about 12. So it'd be 14 years in between.
Yeah, that was about it.
Well, you made your mark, didn't you?
Yeah. We still communicate. They call me and I call them. We do Zoom with them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah. My daughter and her husband, they came to see me while I was there. And then my best girlfriend, she came, and her sister came while I was there.
Okay, good. Well, your father and grandfather should be proud of you carrying on the family tradition of helping in big ways.
Well, I wasn't doing that when what I was doing when they was living was just working in our community.
But I know, but over the years, over your lifetime, yeah.
It was wonderful, Suzanne. Wonderful.
So I'm just going to ask you one more question because in case the phone doesn't last too long. We've been on for about 50 minutes. And then
wow, that went fast, didn't it?
It goes very fast. We might want to do another one if you're up to it, because you have so many good stories to share. But I'm just thinking, with the pandemic, and this feels like there's just so much more conflict and stress levels, the environment. What would you have to say for the young people or people who are just worried a lot about the bad things happening in the world, to kind of help them? Take a different perspective.
This is a different day.
Yes.
This is a different day. And when you turn on the TV and you hear commentators making their remarks, like I heard the other day, a speaker was saying that really children need to make their own decisions instead of the parents want them to do as they did, or want them to do this or want them to do that. Children need to make their own decisions. Well, see, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, giving the children too much power before they're ready.
It's too much power.
Yeah,
and they don't know what to do. If you just think about the process of life,
yeah,
the child had to come. First of all, it took two to bring the child in the world. Then that child came through who? That mother. That's for a reason. That means that's your responsibility to teach that child.
Right.
It's not, the community helps.
Yes.
Your teachers help. They help.
Yes.
But that's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility until they come of age. Then they have something to work with. We started off talking about this very same thing. Did we not?
Yes.
We started off talking about the same thing, how I was influenced by my father and my grandfather, by the people in the community, by aunts and uncles.
Yes.
And then I spread it out you spread out into school. Then the school teachers, then they influence your life.
Right.
But somebody that environment is your conscience. That's the
community is super important. Community.
But look at what's happening today.
Yeah.
Look at what's happening today. They
I-
got movie stars and all these people looking like I don't know what. They influencing them to be idiots. They're influencing them not to obey the law. They're influencing them to do your own thing. Do it how you want to do it. If it feels good, do it. If it look good, do it. And it's destroying everybody. I don't, little children holding up signs saying, no mask, no mask. Come on. And the parents going along with it.
Right.
You don't
Yeah, a lot of
tell us-
conflict instead of, we need to join together to work together instead of all this division.
Yes, division.
Yeah, too much division. Yeah.
It's too much division.
Oh, there is one
Where-
last thing I want to ask you too, because we got a little bit more time.
Okay.
When we talked about a week ago, you said, I like my aging.
Oh, I
My
do.
aging has served me well. Now,
Mhm.
I tend to think, I wish I wasn't getting older and be
You
scared
really
of it. And so I like your attitude much better. Maybe you could expand a little more about that.
Well, this very same thing that we've been talking about for this 50 minutes, the experiences of my life, they've been positive. I've had some negatives, but I've learned from the negatives as well as the positive.
Yes.
I learned how to be a mother. That's a good thing. I learned how to be a wife. That's a
Yes.
good thing.
Yes.
I learned how to be a good employee. That's a good thing. I learned how to be a neighbor. That's a good thing. And I appreciate each step of the way. Suzanne, I appreciate the hard times just like I do the good times. And when you say, what do you do the first thing in the morning? That's what I do. I lay there and think about it.
Mm.
I just lay there and think about it and then just thank God.
Of the good things
You
in
know,
your life.
I think, I say, because in this life, you're going to have some hard times.
Always. Everybody has.
You have more good times than you do hard times. When you just think about it.
Well, depending on people's attitudes, sometimes people go
That's a choice.
negative and, can turn a good situation into a negative one with their thoughts.
But that's our choice.
But you have consciously done the opposite. You're grateful for bad and good. And
For both of them.
yeah. For
I look at the simple things, Suzanne, like a mountain and mountain climbers. I like to look at mountain climbers. Right now I'm looking at the Olympics. It's fascinating. And I sit there in this home by myself and I look at it and I say, how courageous.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Up on that mountain and flip 5 times and then come down and hit the ground. And do they all have injuries? Yes. They break their neck, they break their arms, they break their feet, and they get right back up and do it again.
Yes. Yes.
Is that wonderful?
Admirable.
Oh my goodness. Well, my life is the same way. Not to that extent, because I'm not doing that.
Not in physical, but spiritual,
Not like that. Yeah,
emotional.
exactly.
You look what happened yesterday.
Yesterday is a prime example.
Yesterday you told you were having a heart attack. You got up and walked home 7 miles.
Oh, I'll tell you, it's just, well, when I had cancer, it was the same way.
You had it
They-
twice.
They asked me yesterday. Yes, I had that. Yes. Not colon. That was Elsie. What did I have, Suzanne?
What kind of cancer? I don't know, but I remember you had the second time when you were working with me. And you told me you used visualization.
Oh, yeah, I had to have the complete hysterectomy.
Oh, okay, in that time.
Right. Uterus. Lord have mercy.
Oh, you just laugh about it. You're so appreciative.
I mean, it all turned out well. It all turned out well.
Your aging serves you well because of how you look at everything. You're a good example for the rest of us.
Those were some time, but I almost did the same thing when I know it's time for us to go. When
Well,
I
we don't have to. I just was worried. You said your phone might go.
When I had the breast cancer, I was in California when I had the breast cancer, and I had went for just a regular physical. You know how you go for your year annual,
Yeah.
and they checked me, and everything, and then they called me and told me that they had a suspicion of cancer, and they needed me to come back, have some more tests done, and a biopsy. And so I went to the doctor, my primary care, and I'm in the room. I had undressed and had a sheet around me, and I could hear them out in the hallway laughing and talking. This same thing happened yesterday. I could hear the nurses and doctors out there laughing and talking about the weekend and all that kind of. I put my clothes on and walked out of there. I walked out of there and went on back to work. Time I got to my desk, the phone rung, and it was the doctor. And he apologized and he begged me to come back, So I did. I went and asked my supervisor if I could go back, and I went back. And he took care of me. But I was so mad with those doctors, I didn't know what to do. I said, how dare they? Acting like I'm a nobody.
I know.
And you finna take my breasts off. And you acting like I'm a nobody. Talking about your weekend. Oh boy. Well, anyway, that's life.
Well,
That's life.
thank you very much for the interview. And maybe we'll have do this again sometime. I was
Okay.
very delightful conversation with you, and I
All
really
right.
appreciate your
Always,
time.